Away we go, everybody. Welcome to today's call. It is Friday, October 30th of 2020, and this is the Realty Classroom Sales Training Call live from a hotel room in Nebraska, the lovely Midwest. And you just asked me how it was here. Blue sky day, no snow anywhere, so it's perfect. And today I want to kick off the call with respect to Mastermind member Chris Kleber's request that these calls also include a heavy dose of outside sales, right? That's important. So, and you guys will have to do me a favor. I'm recording the Zoom part of it because I'm broadcasting live everywhere else on StreamYard. So on the Zoom call, if you can watch your microphones, keep me muted if you're in a noisy spot, but it looks like we've resolved any kind of login or security issues with Zoom. So the best thing is if you can help me police this today, that'd be best. But to go back to the outside sales concept, there have been quite on the Mastermind, as you can imagine, when I'm one-on-one with everybody, outside sales is a big deal, right? So, and Autumn, if I could ask that this week, maybe just respond to questions that happen in the chat rather than just put a diatribe of what I'm saying, what our view is. I'd like you also, if you have a question, because Chris has brought this up, a lot of you are shy. And so if you could post your questions anywhere where there's a chat. So if you're watching this on StreamYard and there's a chat, put it in there. I'll see it. If it's on the Zoom, if you could post it in there, Autumn can see it. She can say it to me. But this is becoming a little bit too much of a dictation each week, and it needs to be a back and forth, okay? So would love to go through that with you. It's your call. Remember that. This is your call. It's not our call. And Autumn and I have a great enthusiasm for what we do here. So our desire to help you sometimes gets in the way of you feeling comfortable that you should ask your questions. And thank you to Chris Kleber who brought that up. We want you comfortable. This is a two-way thing. You're welcome here if it's the first time. Yes, I'm intense and I'm not going to be apologetic about that. I'm after paradigm change for you to affect real everlasting change in your world against a system that can make you more profitable. So understand that the methodology that I use is still going to be aggressively after the truth and how something works. That's why we listen to what the consumer says, and that's why telemarketing is wonderful. But if you bring me an anecdote, it's the best thing that it can get, right? So Autumn, there are a couple of people that are asking me, or Dino, there are a couple of people asking me in group, like Desi, Carol. There are people looking because there's a new, I guess there was a new code originally they had signed in for. So Desi and Carol, who works for Brad, could you post something in the site there as well? Because I will not be able to answer it very easily here on the call. So we'll do our best to get people the new code. Again, Zoom changed in the middle of what they were doing. You have to either have a new code or you have to have people asked to be logged in. I can't do that. All right, so Chris, let's go to this. Couple things. One, you said that, and refresh me, your man's name is your outside sales agent. What's his name again?
Alex Kimball. I don't see him on here yet.
Okay, all good. So I want to deal with it because then Alex can go back and listen to the recording. But Alex is like a lot of agents out there that when you're selling a bread and butter house in this COVID market, it's difficult. There can be multiple offers, and there can be quite a few multiple offers. So that was a challenge that Lauren brought up at the Griffin Realty Group back a couple of weeks ago. And what she brought up was the same thing, but she took it from the standpoint of writing the physical offer itself. So I think from an outside sales standpoint, there are two things that we want to lean in on. One is that how to technically write the offer. So I think there are things like escalation clauses and tactical things that need to be discussed there. But the other thing is the emotional side to things too. Okay, that's important too, is the emotion of the buyer. But more importantly, Marty and I were talking about this. Whoa, guys, come on. Hello, guys, you gotta watch your mics here for me, okay? Please, when you come in here, just be respectful. These are live mics. So, because I can't control it here today. I've got limited technology in the hotel room. So the idea is that when you look at this, okay, the idea is that you are an emotional being at the core. So everything that you're doing as a salesperson in the outside field, or for telemarketing, you're setting it up. We're emotional beings. And so the way that you find your emotional state matters. It's everything, in fact. So if we already know that we're in a hot market as an outside sales agent, it's very likely that we will give ourselves, we'll play a tape in our heads. Oh, this is a tough market. Oh, there's going to be these multiple offers. Oh, woe is me. And even if you don't think you're doing that, you can be doing it at a subconscious level because that's the scientific reality of what's going on. The cause that's affecting your emotional reaction is a hot market. And the cause of a hot market is the effect that there are multiple offers and it is very difficult to navigate a buyer through that. Now, if you're in the sell side, it's a lot easier, but it's still difficult because you feel overwhelmed with multiple offers, people trying to lobby you. So we have this emotional state of a hot market no matter what outside sales position you're on. So you go back to the scientific when you feel yourself going emotional. You try to become less emotional by going to cause and effect, meaning, all right, so the reality is I'm going to have to take a buyer. Now let's presume you're dealing with a median or even below market where it's a first-time home buyer, below median market price. So you know the emotion is heightened anyway because it might be the first time somebody's doing it. Or if you work in a place like Lake Norman, North Carolina, you have people moving down from the cities into this beautiful place where you can get a good deal and they don't know it. So now they're emotional. So the way that you do this goes back to what we always said, because we have a plan. That's for you first, okay? No matter, so you're saying to yourself, no matter what happens in this marketplace where I am fired up, I have a plan and I'm going to rely on that plan. Again, because I'm sitting here at a hockey tournament, I will tell you, we went and skated against a team that had an unbelievable plan. And even though in the first period it was tight and it was tied, in the second period, they demolished us because they simply relied on their plan and they just executed. They didn't panic. They just went to it. So in the emotion of being in a tight grind and, if anything, losing the physical battle, they just didn't panic. They went, took their break, and came back. So that's what I'm suggesting to you. You do the same thing, is that you take a break and say, well, the good news is I have a plan for my buyer in this market that's emotional. And what that is, it says representation is first. Well, what does that mean? That means I'm a good representative of any buyer that comes my way because I'm going to say, look, before we run out and dive into the dogfight of competing for one of these houses, as a representative, I'm going to tell you that the best thing to do is we secure your financing as strongly as we can, meaning we can start looking if you're anxious, but you must be pre-approved with something in writing where the pre-approval is deeper than some skim pre-qualification. It's deeper. They've pulled real credit. They've gotten real tax returns. They've asked you. It's sort of a pre-underwriting. The deepest we could get is underwriting, and nobody's going to take you that deeply in this environment as a mortgage company unless there's a real offer to purchase, or in my case, I have to have a purchase and sales agreement to trigger that. So that's the reality of your pre-approval. Plus, if you're paying cash, it's the same thing. Where if you want to seem strong as a cash buyer, we don't want to just write it down in the offer. We want to be able to prove it. So we're going to need that letter from the manager of the financial institution that says you have the wherewithal to complete a transaction in this price range or at this price. If the manager's on demand and we can get it from them quickly, wonderful. But we could start off with one in the price range you're looking at. That sets the stage for not just you to be able to not be in a frenzy during negotiation. Remember that, because you know the whole plan. You know that you're a representative first, and you have to explain what that means by taking them into the financial preparedness. That financial preparedness, not just for what you're going to do with negotiation, you can mention that, but it's so that they will know in advance what that kind of money, either cash or from a mortgage standpoint, buys by going to the third spot in the pinwheel, which is the features. And when we say features, what does the money that you just qualified yourself to spend, what does that buy in this frenzied market? And as I get into that, I can now say, you see, let's analyze before we go out there into the dogfight. You see these houses that you like that match this price? You're going to pay $550. Here's what 565 bought, 545 bought, 530 bought. Here's what it bought. And do you see every single one of those solds went off at 101% of its asking price, 102%. Here's one that was really hot, went off 105%. So when you look at these asking prices, You have to understand they were bid up 1 to 5%. That is the scientific fact of what you're going to run into. So now that you know that the featured section of money and what reality is and how that matches up, now we go touring. And as we go touring to look at some of your favorites early on, if you're ready to go on the first tour, wonderful. If you're not, it's going to be a live feeling for the gladiator pit. But you are prepared because I started as a good rep telling you money, match it up to sold features and the reality of the market. Now we go in prepared. So we're less emotional. I know you're still emotional, but you as a buyer are less emotional in that state. You can see science. So when we go in here, I can point to you while there's 17 people in the house. See, take a look at the assessed value. Okay. Remember when I gave you that homework, things were selling at about 125% of their assessed value. And then from there, they were selling from 1 to 5% of the asking price. Here's an example where you know it's priced well because you see 17 other people waiting in line with their COVID masks on to come in. So you know they have it priced right. So this could bump up, this could go up by 1 to 5%. So you're prepared. Now, if we go in there and we see this and we like it, you already know the math, okay? So that now we're going to go into this next phase where on touring, we are prepared for negotiation. Now, we're going to chase these to the best of our ability, okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to chase these to the best of our ability, but we're not going to panic. This is like the bus stop. Another one comes along. Remember when I started off by showing you features that sold and properties that sold? Those all happened within 90 days and new product came on. So let's go figure this out, right? So you go in there, they love it. Okay, now what? Well, look, remember what I said. It's priced right. We know that, okay? You love it. We know that. And it's probably one of those that could be bid up 5%. So what we'll do is we can come in here and we can do one of two things. We can add 5% to this right now if you're comfortable. If not, I could put in an acceleration clause that says we're going to start off at 2% over the asking price, 3%, and we're going to escalate up to 5%. Now, if we together think it's underpriced, maybe we're going to set a new record for what the percentage is. We might be 7%. Now, you're going to have to lean on me as your rep to say, is 7% above the asking price, even though it's a record in the sold to ask ratio? Is that reasonable? Well, that would put you at 570. So the question is, are we just in a frenzied moment here? Or is 570 a reasonable amount of money? Then I'm going to look at you and say, what is the value of your life? Is this house important to you enough that it would bring you to an emotional state in your life where you would be happy? Because then I'm going to get out of the way. Because I've done everything I could to do as a good representative to bring you the math and the science so that you can make the least overly emotional reactionary offer that you can make. Okay? So it's a very scientific process. But if you are following this process, okay, you are always, hey guys, watch your mics. If you are following this process to the letter, you are doing it in a planned way so that at the end, if it doesn't work out, guess who's not the bad guy or the bad gal? You. Because you took them through a process and you gave them hope beyond that, said, we will do the same thing again the next time and we will repeat it until we win. Chris, that makes sense?
Yeah, Danny, sorry, I was muted.
Oh, good. Yeah. Questions about that, thoughts about that, because that's a huge issue right now. But see how I just dropped it back down against the, the plan? Now, Chris, since you have no questions about that, I want you to tell everybody how you made an adjustment in a house using the plan. And I want you to tell them the same anecdotal story you told me about bringing somebody in and having them, an agent, watch you do it and what their reaction was. Okay, so speak to the validation of this sort of a planned approach.
So you're talking about the listing appointment that you and I spoke about on Tuesday.
Exactly.
Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat here. I took Alex on a listing appointment. Some context, it was a referral from somebody that I know, her sister, and like everybody here at the lake, everybody knows 20 agents. Yeah. We're a dime a dozen around here. So, although I felt pretty good about it, it still wasn't a slam dunk. I still had to go in there and earn it. So I took Alex, the new guy, with me. I'm not sure if he's on here yet or not. And it was interesting because I went through the whole plan. I wasn't going to sell them short just because they were a referral.
Right.
And I wanted Alex to see how to do a normal listing appointment. So they committed right there on the spot. They said, yeah, we're going to think about it overnight, the strategy and everything, but you're our guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we walk out and we're standing in the driveway talking, and it was so funny because he said to me, he looks at me, he goes, they never even asked you about commission. They never even tried to negotiate on commission.
Mm-hmm.
I was charging them a full 6%, 3 and 3 on each side. And I said, well, here's why. Because I just handed them a net sheet right out of the gate that showed them their plan. They owe very little on this house. And it's a lower price house. We're listing it for $300.
Yeah.
But they never questioned any of it. And we charge a $700 broker admin fee on top of the 6%. So I thought that was interesting that he observed that.
Yeah.
And he had not been on a listing appointment yet other than with family. So his preconceived notion was that every seller tries to negotiate or beat you up on the commission, and just showing him the process, they never even had they never really had a chance to.
Yeah. Well, and nor did they want to, because they saw value. So we've talked about this. Dean, what's that line that Moses loves about absence of value? Can you state that for everybody? Because I can't remember the exact quote, and I think you quote it more than.
Cost is only an issue in the absence of value.
Yeah. So see, Chris, there's the statement. Thank you, Dean. That's the summary statement of what this is. And I think that people, when they don't take a scientific approach, they get emotional. Let me give you an example. Okay. So here's what I'll tell you. When you look at this scenario and how it works, so David Whitehead and Brad Bretthauer are two of the best examples I can give you of recent, anecdotes that they gave me and adjustments, right? So Brad, I'll start with him. He's in Madison, Wisconsin, greater area. And so he was going in, and he and I, and Dean, for that matter, had learned this very long form presentation. So when you learn a long form presentation, you have to remember the context within which you learned it. It was really well pre-internet days. And the idea was that you were bringing that, Dean, you could make an argument, right? It's a live blog explanation, right? You're bringing this long presentation that's essentially a blog, and you're explaining to somebody this systematic way that a property gets sold. The problem is the way that you write that blog piece, right, is essentially from your perspective, not what's important for them. I think that's the way you described it, Dean, which I like better. Not what's in it for me, but what's in it for them. Isn't that what we did?
That's been my biggest issue in actually writing, because I find myself rolling back into that. What do I perceive is in the best interest of me? Me being them.
Correct, which makes this sales training call so critically important if you understand the paradigm from which we start, which is we listen to real anecdotes on Fridays. It's the consumer in. And Chris, the reason we got caught up in a lot of telemarketing and not outside sales is because when you ask an outside sales agent to come on here, sure, there might be some nervousness and intimidation to go on a live call. That I understand. But that's why I said, post your question in the chat and we'll read it aloud and I'll deal with it. You don't have to speak yourself if you want to detach from the anecdote, but you need the anecdote because you need to know the story that happened. Now, when you capture a call, it's easy because we're all going, what's the consumer saying? What's the consumer saying? And are we adjusting what we say to serve them? I'm not saying to patronize them. You still need to be a firm, authoritative leader. So you're serving them with authority, but you're bringing them something that's super valuable to them, right? Which is the whole concept. So coming back to this, let me give you Brad's anecdote. So Brad had this long 2-hour presentation that I think all of us that started to learn together back then, we were making this long presentation that would convince somebody to do something. And in lieu of somebody else not bringing in a presentation to convince them that we were valuable and we were the one, if nobody's bringing anything else, you're in a competition-less lane. I keep saying this on the sales training call. I'm not saying there's no competition. That would be hubris and nonsensical. What I'm saying is if you brought in back before the internet days when consumers could go online and do some education, or you could give a Zoom presentation, you had to walk into a home with a presentation. I started off with a flip top book, then it went on the laptop. All these things evolved. So as you went along that way, that's the way that you were teaching the consumer. And if anybody else came in and threw down their resume or whatever, you could clobber them when it came to competition, as long as that presentation empowered the consumer. Problem was that presentation became a dictation about how great we were. Well, I do this, and my business works this way, and here's my resume, and here's my testimonials. Me, 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 me. And all somebody else had to come in to say was, well, wait a minute, I've got something for you, and here's how it works. So there was always the paradigm you could lose to. So Brad subsequently could see it was too long. It wasn't as effective. So he said to me, what I did was I got rid of it. And what he said was, I sort of just started to wing it based on his acumen. What his aptitude was at that point in his career was huge, but he walked in on acumen and aptitude alone without a systematic way to pull it out of his brain and his mouth, chunk it up in a simple way to the consumer who's hearing it for the first time, so they felt empowered to make the decision on him and not fuss about commission. So when you do things on muscle, what happened to Brad's business was he began to offer a discount because his perception was, what I'm doing is less valuable than the guy that's giving a discount. So my coaching was simply, look, I've got this little simple pinwheel. What I did was I looked at the things we did of the past. I asked myself what we were really doing to empower the consumer, and I made those adjustments to come up with a simple formula. Now, I've written it out in a magazine. If you want to mail it to them pre-presentation, wonderful. But you can use this very simple infographic, and you can put it in front of somebody, and that person can then be guided as to show them how they will go through the process. And simultaneously, you're basically telling them what you would do in that context. So by the time you're done, and then you finish off the net sheet that shows them what they would walk away with, not with what else you sold, not what people say, but what they would walk away with. Here's the system, and here's what you would walk away with. Well, that makes somebody feel very much in control of the sale of their house. And if you're the one that makes them feel that empowered, that in control, you end up in a competitionless lane where somebody won't take that time to do that, including top producers. So if somebody feels more empowered, not only are they going to choose you, they're not going to feel so much fuss about commission because you actually show them what they'll walk away with, which is typically far greater than that point, 2 points, or whatever you're going to argue about, right? So that's the idea as you move along over to this process. So Brad subsequently told me he went out and then he went to 3 different presentations in a row where there was competition, and he won all 3. And so there's the validation for Brad, not all of you, but just Brad said, I stuck to the yellow brick formula, or as Allison called it, the well-lit path, and he was victorious because those people felt empowered. Now, Brad wasn't any more or less good at this. Nothing changed dramatically for Brad in that time. It was just that he went outwards and, instead of introspectively. I'm insecure about telling you all this value, so I'm going to do this. Duran, the same thing this week, okay? So with Duran, what happens is, how do I join you? Carol, you're in here. You're already in here, Carol. Yeah, you're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep, I know. I saw you come in. So, yeah. Well, and again, that was Brad's anecdote, but watch how you need to know that that's what you're selling, right? Is you're now selling, and that's where we had to hold him accountable to you. If you sell the value of the package as a telemarketer, hey, we've got this simple, great plan. We're going to throw some pictures and details with it. It's a delicious sandwich for you. But if I send Brad over, he's going to give you the insight on it. So now it becomes cohesive steps in a value ladder from telemarketer to outside sales. Let me stay with outside sales, though, for a second. So Duran, who's up in Seattle, we just went through his listing presentation the same. Now, Duran has a little bit of a different spin on the 7 steps. He's condensed it to 5 that are comfortable for him. Well, in his presentation, it took a very long time to arrive at the dissertation about the 5 steps. And then when he got to the 5 steps, I couldn't clearly see where I was, even though there was some delicious pieces of it. So the editing starts by being introspective. And why do you feel like you needed to say that much to communicate effectively to me these 5 steps? And we had to dig a little bit with a couple of levels of why, looking for some sort of scientific approach to why. And he said something akin to this discussion that Dean and Chris Kleber just brought up. His feeling was that I'm going to talk long enough and deep enough to make sure that you see the value in what I'm going to charge you. That was the underlying paradigm. He felt an obligation to talk that much, which is exactly what I used to do. I used to think that if I was going to charge you X, forget about everybody else, I was going to tell you how great I was going to be for that X. Now, well, that's introspective. That's selfish, and that's based on tapes that we play in our own head. That's got nothing to do with me saying, look, I have a lot of aptitude and acumen, but I'm going to chunk it up for you, and I'm going to power you tonight, whether or not you're going to choose me. So a very key point. If you want to be looking externally at serving and being of service in the best way based on acumen, simplify. The truth is the simplest solution, right? That's the truth. If you ask enough whys, you actually have what's called convergence on simple truth. Well, if you can discover that, which we have in this group, and you can deliver that in an outside sales fashion to buyer or seller, they can feel at least more empowered. And that's a big gift. If you can give the gift of empowerment to a buyer or seller, and you can give them insight as to what they might walk away with or how to get a good deal on the buy side, you will then get rewarded with the business. That's the law of reciprocity. So the gift is, I have given you information and insight that empowered you. The gift you give me back is by deciding to go with me. That's it. I'll give you one more anecdote with David Whitehead. So when I was driving down to Nebraska yesterday, Whitehead called me and we start talking about what was going on with him. And in the mix of a really good year, he gives me an anecdote, a sales anecdote, where he says, I went into a couple the other night and it was good. They were both 91 years old. But when I left, somebody else went in after me. Well, number one, I hear the breaking of a systematic approach. Okay. He should have asked them, are you interviewing anybody else? Can I come in last because I like to be compared to everybody? So there's one break in our system. Okay. That's a break. The next problem is I asked a simple question. Okay. First of all, let me give you the objection. Somebody went in after him, even though they said, we're going with you. Okay. Somebody went in after him and they called back and said, well, we really want to go with these other people. I mean, they have a really good track record. They've sold 20 properties already so far this year. And you know, that's a lot. Well, he said, well, that's fine. But just so you know, I've sold 36. So he can win that. But I said, but why are you even in that situation? So I go back and I do an autopsy. And I'm thinking to myself, I know David Whitehead. He's Midwest, down home, nicest guy in the world. He would definitely be a heart of service. But I asked him from a plan standpoint. Plan. I said to him, when you went in there, did you give them the pinwheel and did you go through those 7 steps? Well, no. I said, okay, so you set yourself up for the dogfight. There's nobody at fault but you for setting yourself up for the dogfight, though, even though you won it. Because you thought when you went in there, what? He said, well, I walked in, I saw how old they were and frail, and I wanted to be nice. I wanted to be nice, right? Was the essence, that's not a quote from David, but that's actually what he wanted to do. I wanted to be nice, and I wanted to serve him. I said, I know, Dave, because I know you. But what you actually did was a disservice. The minute you used your human discretion to be nice, instead of sitting down, no matter what age, no matter what capacity, you never served them by simplifying the process so they understood exactly where they were at. So you couldn't cut through all their anxiety and nerves with a simple 7 steps that explained what happens. So you left yourself and their anxiety to make a decision based on the amount of sales. Don't ever do that again, because you're the problem, not their frailty, not the fact that they can't remember. Even if we're dealing with folks that have dementia, it doesn't matter if you violated being of service by simplifying things. So buyer or seller, there's 4 anecdotes from coaching this week alone that absolutely 100% say, did you stay to the yellow brick road, or are you complaining based on the only cause and effect you see? Well, the market's so hot and we lost and now they won't call me back. Well, how'd you take care of them on that first one? Did you take them through a plan? Did you let them know where they're at? Did you let them know that this could be difficult, but you could empower them to do the best they can? And by the way, don't worry if this doesn't work out, because we'll repeat it until we get it. If the answer is no, that's the answer. Okay? Questions about that? Because that was a really important week of outside sales anecdotes for some real big time producers. And all 3 people that I just mentioned, they can sell, and a lot. But you can see even at the top, if you're not of service based on a plan, you can't open up that competitionless lane, and then you get sucked into the fight. Well, you're going to discount it, right? Well, they have a better resume. You're the one getting into that. because you allowed yourself. There's a way out. Stick to the plan. Questions, thoughts, other anecdotes?
Yeah, my thought is about the seller questionnaire.
Sure.
I think that that's an important thing. It's kind of setting up himself or whoever the telemarketer was, that they need to do that seller questionnaire so they absolutely know that there's a listing presentation, you know enough about the property, and you want to ask to come in last. You want to know their motivation. You get your email. It's all in that seller questionnaire. And I think that's where it first starts. That's where it first starts.
I'll make an argument starts even back further. Let's take David Whitehead, Gail, right? So David Whitehead doesn't have a telemarketer. See what I'm saying? And this is a lead. Now he does, because we just, brought one on. But I said to him, I said, here's the problem. If you do it yourself, you're still responsible to following the system that Gail just talked about. You have to pick up the phone, and we'll listen to some telemarketing here today so you can see it get set up that way, right? So what happens is you have to pick up the phone, and you have to call whatever type of lead. It's irrelevant. In his case, he uses an outside lead generation company that sends in a referral, and so he has it there. So some of the acquisition and conversion is done for him. But that does not excuse him for what Gail just said was another step in the system. Hey, it's David Whitehead here. I saw that you came in through the system looking for a home evaluation. I'm happy to go through that. Just had a few questions for you. Now you go right down the systematic approach, which is also designed to be of service. Well, why are you asking me these questions? Because I want to be able to understand the whole process with you versus just, you can throw a dart and make up a price, but that's not how you're going to move the price up. That's not how you're going to net more. You need a whole process. So even if there's pushback, this is your authoritative way of, you can be nice and say, look, do you want to really find out how to get top dollar? Then it's a lot more than just some simple guesstimate. You can go do that with Zillow any day you want. Just get some random estimate based on what's in front of you, right? So don't do that. Go through this process correctly with me. At bare minimum, I'll empower you. You use this language, by the way, overtly and openly. It's not some covert thing that would say, well, I'm going to be of service and I'm going to, empower them. You say it. So look, my number one goal is to be of service to you in the best way I can. Okay. And the way that I understand to do that is to ask a few questions so that the package that I prepare for you that talks about your value and how to get value out of the marketplace is everything. So if you'll humor me, you don't even have to hire me. This is a service that I've agreed to with this lead company. So if you just humor me, I'll give you everything I got, my best stuff for free. Deal? That's an incredible offer. Okay? If you can detach from it. But so many of you are still working from this paradigm of scarcity. But what if they take all my information and they go somewhere else? What if they do? What if they do? So what? So what? I do this every day as a top producer. I give away my best stuff for free without ever worrying whether or not somebody is going to use me. And 99% of the time, they use me because nobody else thinks like this. Everybody starts from a fear paradigm, which causes a mentality of scarcity. So we stop listening to what they're saying. We fall into the dogfight of overselling ourselves, and all anybody hears is me, 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 me. And they're turned off until somebody shows up with a little beacon of real about them, and you lose. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I lost to him. I can't believe I lost to her. That idiot doesn't sell anything. And there we go, all about us again. So we keep making this emotional reaction instead of saying, let me consider another cause in effect. See, what I do is my cause is I do it this way today. And the effect is I lose a lot of these dog fights. So you have to get outside of that and say, what is a different cause? Could I use one of these pinwheeled approaches? Could I be of service without expecting anything in return? See, those are alternative causes. And the effect is definitely going to be different. In my experience, when I considered that different cause, not a 2-hour presentation about me, rather one that I can do in about 5 minutes if I have to, about them, everything started to change. So that cause and effect. And what Gail's speaking to is that everywhere along the line, you have to stay into that cause and effect. Well, if I say this thing on the phone that causes somebody to say yes to the delivery of a package, what does that package cause when it arrives in the house? Does it say clearly what to do with it without me? Does it say, I'll be calling you next to follow up, even though I already said it on the phone? And you could call me if you want, right? Does it say these things? So as we find something that's working, the idea is to always consider, instead of getting comfortable, what else could I do with a new cause in effect, right? And that's how something is always constantly improving, even if those improvements are getting smaller, okay? All right, other questions or comments like Gail just made? Yeah? Hey, I'm going to do something a little bit that's going to probably throw a monkey wrench in this call. Since my good friend, and I don't want to get too emotional here, my good friend Gail just spoke up, I would ask that because we have a mastermind, because there's an incredible harmony of love in this group, especially those that have been around a long time, that you would pray for her recovery from cancer as she goes through that. She just found this out. And so if you could pray deeply and caringly and just love on her when you think about her, that she will go through what she has to go through and she will have a speedy recovery. I know that not only would I appreciate it, she would appreciate it, her family would appreciate it. And if there's anybody that's a woman of strength and faith, it's Gail Rossetti. And so I would ask that, yeah, you go there for her, okay? So I would appreciate that. And I think it's more appropriate to say it live than it is anywhere else. She's family for all of us, and she's a leader for all of us, especially you women, you gals. She's a 10. Right? She is the thing that you want to look up to and always be driving to. And when there's fear and there's scarcity, she has faith, and no greater example of that. Right? So if you could, if you could just go there, that'd be awesome. Okay, next. You guys are quiet today. I know that's a little bit more somber, but we have hope. That's what we have. When we have faith, we have hope. And where there's hope, there's healing. So I know how this is going to go, and so does she. But we still ask you to participate in that process. All right. So next up for me is what? Gail, you want to say anything to that? By the way, I don't want to steamroll it.
I just want to say thank you for everyone. I do have hope and faith, and it's not a somber thing for me. I think that there's a plan. There's a purpose for what I'm going to go through. I don't know what it is, but I have faith and hope for that. And I really appreciate your prayers. In the ether in the air, I believe in that deeply, that all those positive thoughts and prayers will come to me and my family and help me.
Cool.
And I really appreciate it. I pray for all of you guys every day too.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, it's just kind of a thing that I do. But I want everybody to be happy and whole, and I do too. And I everything I want for myself, I want for you as well.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. Moving to the next deal. Do I have any outside sales comments, or a shift to my telemarketers to show the continuum of how this goes? Anybody comments on outside sales before I shift?
Annie, it's Elena.
Hi, Elena.
Not really like anything too deep today, but in our PLE, the post-licensing education, we have to do a business plan course, and in it talks about the difference between the scarcity mentality and the abundance mentality.
Yes.
I literally took that unit exam before the call, so.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Elena, too, the other thing that can help you, let's go back to, I'm really into the scientific method to bring everybody out of an emotional state. One of the things that you can do is go right into the multiple listing service, which is scientifically, mathematically, analytically our marketplace. And it contains data, period. So anytime that you're worried, we're going into a recession, we're going into a depression, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market, all you have to do is go into the multiple listing service, take a period of time, and look at how many properties have still continued to sell regardless of the exterior circumstances. There is never a reason scientifically for a scarcity mentality. Something is always being bought and sold, always. It's a very rare occasion where something slows way down. I've been coaching for a very long time. And I can remember in some rural spot where it actually slowed down. But even then, there was no month in that MLS that went to zero. So there's never in Kentucky, it ain't going to zero anytime soon, right? So anywhere where there's a metropolis, a major metropolis around it, like Louisville or something like that, there's always something happening. And as long as we can be authentically of service and by doing so become unique and competitionless in that way of doing it, there's always an opportunity for you, right? So it's not just that, because sometimes those terms can get generic. And sometimes we can get lost in the spiritual and the hope and the praying and forget that, we've got science too that is there for us to bring us to that state, right? Make sense? Yeah, cool. Love it. Love it. It's interesting how things converge. See, as you're pursuing the truth of how something works, there you are in the same day with the same information. You see, that's just what the truth is. There's no reason for scarcity when there's actual abundance. Now you go a layer deeper than the class and you say, oh, I just learned that the stats are in MLS and I can prove it scientifically too, right? It's very empowering. Yeah, good job. Thanks for bringing that up. Anybody else have a comment like that? See, that stuff is helpful, because you're having your process here. Anybody else? Anybody just want to type a question for Autumn to read aloud to me? Anybody want to type? Anybody watching out there on all the channels I'm broadcasting on, wherever you are? I'm pretty sure if you see me live on Facebook or YouTube, you can type a question. I should be able to see it right here on StreamYard. I'll deal with it. I'm happy to do so. Anybody internally in the coaching program on the Zoom call, go ahead. Questions? Thoughts? Mastermind members?
Come on, folks. This is your chance.
Quiet crowd today, Autumn. Okay.
Come on. I know you have issues.
Okay, telemarketers, you're up. Let's go. If nobody's going to jump. See, Chris Kleber, there's my point, right? It's not just to your guys, but there's my point. For some reason, we can't even get somebody to type in an outside sales thing. So if we can change that paradigm, we will deal with more and more outside sales. I would love to have a balance, half and half every week. Okay? There's my point, though, Chris, live. All right, I will move on. See my point? So there you go. And if you team leaders want to get the questions in advance and type them in or ask them, then we'll take half and half. But right now it's time to segue. I've got calls from Sam Carroll. I think you sent me something. I just don't remember which email you used to do it. If you could resend them as I asked, like right before the call, I'll take them now too. But I will go to Sam. Sam, you there? Since it's right at the top. And by the way, Maxie and Russell, do I have you on? If so, speak up. Because you did send me some calls too. Maxie and Russell, if I have you still. Hey, Paul Cantu. Sam, Maxie, Russell, anybody, all the people I just called, I need to hear a voice. Sam.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Russ, got you, buddy. You're up. Thanks for speaking up. Everybody goes to the back of the line. So, Russell, what email did we have that string in? I can't remember. Is it the Danny Boy or is it the Realty Classroom? I think it's the Realty Classroom, right?
Let me see here. I think it's the Realty.
Yep, I got it. I got it. Okay, so Russell, give me a little context. Is Maxie with us too? Maxie, you can speak up and just say yes, even while I'm working on this.
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. You're both up then. All right. So Walt Hunt is online. By the way, thank you so much for pushing forward with the accountability on the telemarketing tracker and sending that to me. Autumn, if I could ask in the future on the calls too, that you send me the telemarketing tracker and the name sheet in advance. If all of you could do that, we can get in a collective mastermind, moving forward. And Autumn, remind me, you and I have to talk about getting back to recording some of your calls, which will come as part of our conversation about tech. Walt Hunt, give me a little bit of a background here as to what you thought and what I'm listening for here.
I'm just trying to find him real quick. I'm just trying to see what kind of lead it was. Walt Hunt, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he was a buyer lead. This cast, I'm not sure. I guess that they come in through Facebook.
All right, you know what? Let's just listen. Let's just listen then. Here we go.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Walt.
Yep.
It's Russell with Weisbarth and Associates.
I'm calling because I saw you had registered on our.
Okay, hold on. Big pause. No need for it. Tighten it up, right?
Yeah.
That's so that we lose. See how there's one of those moments again? It's a big pause in this training course, but in real life, it doesn't feel like one, right? And again, we've talked about the tape you play underneath this is you're trying to be courteous and you don't want to be that guy that interrupts. But too late. You're interrupting. So be of service as fast as you can. Okay? So get rid of the old tape that says Russell's interfering and he doesn't want to be that guy, because either way you're interrupting. But if you're of service, it's a good interruption, right? So get rid of that and go right into it. It's Walt, ? And right into it. I'm this guy from this company calling you because boom, 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 right?
Our property search website. I want to make sure everything's working out well for you.
And I don't like this piece here, and I don't know whether it's scripted. Put a big circle for both you and Maxie around it. I want to make sure everything's working well for you. It's very generic, right? When we're trying to be of service, the more we can say it's about their context. So tell me what it's like when he came in. What website would he have signed up on in this case? Is it a property site that gives him access to properties? Do you have it open at the same time? So do you know what Walt is asked for? Because you can say, hey, Walt, you signed up for this. I see that you're looking in this zip code for this stuff, and I want to make sure you're getting all the properties that you want. You see what I mean? That's very specifically about him. Because remember, this first beat is about service to him for him. And the more specific the context you can give him, the more he leans in and is appreciative. But you're so generic, I want to make sure it's working out. What his mind is doing right now is wondering, what website did I sign up for? What did I ask for? Who is this guy? So we are leaving him to think, and we're setting him up to be confused. Let's listen to whether he does get confused or not.
Yeah, I'm just looking around. It's just one of those things that they suck your information in.
There you go. Okay, so yes, I'm just looking around, and it's one of those things where you screwed me. You sucked my information in, right? So he just lumped us up with all the sites he's on. It means nothing to him. So if we could make it competition less, how do you do that? If Walt went on 3 sites and now Russell calls, how can he pull him out of the 3 generic people, pull him over to a competitionless lane, and make him feel that this is unique? Did anybody else call you to make sure you were set up correctly? And then you could even upsell him. Did anybody else call you to say, do you want to get off of these generic sites and into MLS? See where I'm going, Russ?
Yeah, I see. Okay. Well, by the way, where are you looking?
Oh, got stuck here. Shoot. Might have to start it again. Let's see. All right, bear with me. We'll play it all the way through this time so we can hear the whole thing.
Hello.
Hi, Walt.
Yeah.
It's Russell with Weisbart and Associates. I'm calling
Okay.
because I saw you had registered on our property search website. I want to make sure everything's working out well for you.
Yeah, I'm just looking around. It's just one of those things that they suck your information in.
I see. Okay. Well, by the way, where are you looking?
Well, I'd like to look at property.
Okay. Are you thinking about buying a home?
If there's a right piece that's got a sound view, picture, or a lot, yes.
I see. Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you?
I'm trying not to have any motivation for anything in 2020.
I see. Okay. So if you just the right property with the right view, then would that make you a 10?
Yep. So I appreciate email, and that's if I find something. If you send me an email and I like it, I'll.
Yeah. Shitty avatar, right? You did your job here. It's a shitty avatar. He sounds like an investor. You can say, you could have asked him, are you an investor? Is this a primary residence? You can be a little bit more curious, but look, this is just the quality of this kind of marketing brings in this stuff. So to me, this isn't really a good prospect. I don't hear retail. I mean, I don't know that he's looking at the median or above price in the area you guys want to cover. I mean, I just feel like this is a bad, contact. And I think you're doing your job in seeing if he's prospectable. To me, if you moved him forward, you put a bloat on the database, okay? So let's get off of it. I think you did a good job. I don't see anything that excites me here. Could you have done some things that are better? Yeah, but to me, as the consultant, I'm saying to somebody who's bringing in this kind of lead, why are we getting this kind of guy? And then I'm letting them listen to it. Say, this is a user subscriber. I'm not saying that he wouldn't buy something. I'm not saying you couldn't have gotten better. But I still think we have a real functional issue with lead capture when it sounds that crappy. Okay?
All right.
So that's what I would say. Yes, you could have gotten better. And the big takeaway for you on that call is very simple. You can't say I'm making sure it's working out for you, right? It's got to be better. I see you're looking at this stuff.
Actually, I guess they register and they register on a specific search, so I guess I could have mentioned that.
Not I guess I could have. Systemically, scientifically, you must. Because every call that you make as an outbound caller, the quicker you can give them the personal context you know about them, the more they think you're of service to them. You see the difference? If I make a generic comment to you, you haven't done your homework on me. I can't tell you how many times people reach out to me on LinkedIn every single day, and not one of them, well, from time to time, somebody's actually done a little bit. They might have read my about. I'll take it. I see that you're in the real estate business and maybe the coaching business, and we have this. I can't tell you how many times they don't even come remotely close, and then they want my attention. It's pathetic. Like what do we think we're doing in business? We think we're just going to show up on somebody's doorstep, interfere with their lives, and have relevance? It's absurd. Okay? All right, Maxie. So be contextually relevant. Hey, I saw that you beautiful house online. Which house? 123 Main Street. It's beautiful looking, but I noticed it didn't sell. It's personal. I'm calling you to personally be of service because I know your contact. I'm here. I'm the concierge desk. I am truly here to say, what's up? What's going on with this? You're on the website looking for this. Is it getting you what you want? Would you like to see some sold so you can see what the money's buying? There's a lot of things Russell could have done better on that call, but I have a bigger problem with the type of lead that it was than you. So I'm going to leave you with just be better than that when you're of service. Pay attention. It's the laziness that we get into a comfort zone. You're not lazy, but it's the laziness of this approach, right? It becomes very generic. Cool? Okay, here we go. Maxie.
I'll stop doing that.
Yeah, no sweat. Give me a recording of where you don't do it next, okay?
Hi, Paul. This is Maxie with Weisbarth and Associates. We got a message that you're looking to sell your home for a cash offer. Is that correct?
Your offer is too low. I don't want to sell.
I would like to check how I'd be able to help you out. What is your timeline? Are you looking at selling?
All right, Maxie, right there you don't listen to the objection and deal with it. So you go right through it. So here we have a different context where we're not really of service. You're immediately into your script, okay? And you called this your bad call. So I'll go try to find what I agree with that was bad. You're rushing into what you want, and you're not dealing with this. So say, gee, I didn't know. Did we already send somebody over? You follow me? Maxie, come on, engage me.
Yeah.
Okay. See, Maxie, that's the point, is you didn't listen to him.
I agree with you. Just trying to get to finding out what their timeline is right away.
You can't do that. See, all of this rushing and not being human, let's see how this goes, but it can't go too well because he wanted to bitch and complain at you about other people because you're not the only one. You can tell by the way he's answering, oh no, you people are too low, right? What people? I'm confused. I've never spoken to you before. Have you met one of our people before? See what I'm saying? So you have to acknowledge their context first. When we are truly of service, either we aggressively are saying it out the door, and you did a good job. I saw you want a cash offer. The reason I'm calling is I want to get that started for you. Oh no, you people are too. What people? Have you already met with somebody from Weisbarth? It should have been a logical answer to you, right? From you. Maxie?
Okay. Yep.
Maxie, be human.
Yeah.
Be human. You have a default into being a machine. Don't do that. I know you. You're really nice. Be a human being here, because you're having a bad call because you're not being human. So let's listen to the rest of it.
No, it's okay. I don't want to go in setting or anything right now.
Are you considering selling perhaps? I could connect you with our cash offer specialist.
Good.
Oh, no, I don't want right now.
Okay. So no
thank
plans
you.
of selling
Okay.
this time.
Yeah, but please take out my phone number. That's fine. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, okay. So you did your job. You didn't do it. Like I said, you and Russell both did your job. You found weak leads that I can make a case they're both junk. I don't hear in either call anything worth fighting for, because the reason to sell can't even be garnered. They want to blow you off. What are we going to do? Send an outside sales or a buyer out to that? I'm not of the business mindset. Here we go back to scarcity, Elena, right? We go back to the scarcity. If you start pursuing stuff like this, you have a mindset of scarcity. I'll just call that out globally, because there are too many people that would accept the service on the call. This is not a guy. Andy told you take him off the list. Okay. But what could you have done better? Be human. I know you have your offer, but why are you rushing to get into it if it doesn't apply? Right?
Danny, can I say something?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Absolutely.
I just think even if it's a craptacular lead, you still can't lose control. And I just felt like, there's some loss of control there. Just control the conversation and get off the phone.
Yeah, agreed. And she loses that by just talking, not engaging him. You know what I mean? And the good thing, go ahead.
You have to be with yourselves, guys. You have to stay right in pace with yourself.
Yeah, I like that. That's good advice. All right, let's keep moving because I'm squeezed for time. I'm going to take Carol. You sent some stuff next, and I know I have a bunch from Sam. If Sam's on here or Paul's on here, I need to hear which one of those. I'm not going to do all 5. Carol, I have one from you. You're next. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, excellent.
I would call this my bad call.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right, that's okay. Give me a little context if you want.
I use the word a lot.
Okay, good. Good.
I was shocked at my pattern of speech. It must have been, must have caught me at the end of the day or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, no, that's an excellent point, because the question begs first, are we athletically ready to make the calls, right? And am I in the end of a 2-hour tranche where my energy's gone down like an athlete? Marty and I just talked about this all morning long. We got up early with a food plan. We went back to vegan diet. We had to make some adjustments because in the last game, like you guys, he had a decent result, but it wasn't anywhere near what he could do. So we went back to the plan and said, what didn't I do to be ready? I like what Autumn was just saying, to be, give me that of yourself. I mean, with yourself. Is that what you said, Autumn?
Yeah, I said stay, get with yourself on the inside. Don't abandon yourself.
Yeah.
And rush off.
Good.
With your words following a script. Stay right with you.
Yeah, good. Perfect. Because that's authoritative, Carol, right? So it can be caused by a lack of energy. It can be caused by a bad day, right? It can be caused by those things. But if you can adjust in the middle of it, go back to your plan, like she's saying, right? Go back to your plan. Go right back to sticking to it, because you're still very new at making the language a tape that plays in your head. So the ums and the ahs are when you're kind of inside, you're too introspective. Like exactly what just happened to Maxie. She's too introspective. She's trying to look for all the things she's supposed to do, quote unquote, instead of doing what she should do to be of service. And by the way, Duran is a huge preacher of being of service, even though he's also simultaneously a taskmaster at getting it right. We all default in this group to being of service. Nobody's ever going to critique any of you for being of service, okay? And we're not asking for perfection on scripts. That's not the point. Yes, systems, you got to stay in the guardrails of the systems. But if you flub the words, that's fine. Keep it moving. So let's listen to it.
Hello. Hi, this is Carol. I'm calling from Brad Brett Real Estate. Is this Jeannie? Yes.
Jeannie, I'm calling because I saw your beautiful online and I noticed that it didn't sell. And I'd like to send you something that will help you sell it next time. May I do that?
Sure.
Okay. So what's the best address to send that to?
The only address is the house for sale because I'm living in it.
Good.
Ah, okay.
Perfect.
Is that the Sunnyside Street?
Yes.
Okay. It's gorgeous. It is
Good.
beautiful. Did you do all the work in it yourself?
Good.
I did. I gutted it and rebuilt it.
Beautiful.
Wow. It is amazing. I have a kayak. I live on the southeast side of Madison. I have a kayak, so I put in there, down in that area. I wouldn't say frequently,
Too much.
but
Me.
enough to
Too
enjoy
much.
the water.
Good,
and I'm
though.
just looking at that,
Too much.
that home thinking, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous.
Too much.
That what is?
But not bad. Yep. See, she even says that what is? You have this huge accordion about you and what you do with your kayak. And you totally lose it. I get it. You're super nice Midwest. And you're genuinely talking about this area. It's genuine. But you are losing her. This is not about you and your kayak. This is about her. If it becomes appropriate down the line somewhere, fabulous. Okay? So the critique on this call is easy. In the beginning, stop that pregnant pause, just like Russell. There's not a question mark and then this huge pregnant pause. Okay? You're of service as an authority at this moment in time. You're not of service in sort of this happy-go-lucky, play along my game thing. I love, it was quick and succinct, but it bordered on gratuitous at a certain point. I saw your beautiful house online. You do all that work yourself. Good. Get out of there now. Get out of there. You personalized it. You've clicked in the law of likability. You're in a down energy on the law of authority. Okay? You're in a down energy. You come back up with a law of likability. Okay? But now you don't get to the package. And you're talking about a kayak. And she says, what? You lose her. Let's see how it goes.
Your home is just gorgeous.
Oh. I think the reason it didn't sell is the beginning of the driveway is kind of steep. And it's next to an easement for 4 houses on the other side of the street to use. And that's really the only negative comments I've received were about those 2 things. Well, I can't change either one of those 2 things.
Right. Right.
So I was just going to wait till next year and try again.
Okay. Well, what I can do is I can pull some information off of MLS and send you a list of 5 or 6 properties with pictures and details that actually sold in your price range while you were on the market, just so you can kind of get a list, kind of a list of what's been happening on the market.
Uh-huh.
And then I will also send you a copy of our 7-step listing plan that it gives really detailed information on how to sell a house, which I'm sure you've already looked at. But
no, she hasn't looked at. She hasn't looked at that. You're pulling the punch on how valuable this is, right? I think you do a good job of explaining the 5 or 6 properties and what they are. And you have to get attached to this. Have you watched me talk through the seller plan for that 17-minute training? Have you? Okay. Get emotionally attached to it. This is super valuable. You're dismissing it. If you dismiss it, you devalue it. You follow me? Okay. Don't be dismissive of it. Look, and then she needs hope. She sounds a little bit older. She needs some hope here. Well, look it. I hear you. Acknowledge what she said too. I hear you, but I know that Brad's been successful selling all sorts of houses, whether they have easements or not. Boom. And we have to start acknowledging what these people are saying, that she's having a cathartic moment with you. She's reading her mind aloud as to what went wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the other one I heard, Danny, just keeps coming up. You use the phrase listing plan. It's not a listing plan.
That's what we have in our script. What should it be called?
Personal opinion. Then I don't think listing is all about the broker. It's a home sale plan. Their goal is to get it sold, not to list it.
Seller plan. Yeah. Seller plan. Seller plan. A plan for sellers. It's a plan for sellers to tell them how to do everything. Okay. Now let's see if we have a segue and a turnaround here.
A little bit more detail than the average seller gets, so you can kind of take a look at that.
Average seller. How do you know what the average seller gets? Interesting, right, Carol?
I don't. I guess I'm rambling.
Well. Again, it's just insecurity about what we have, and lack of experience. You just don't know. So I'm teaching you here today. I'm glad we had the wrong call. This is perfect, because what you don't know is that most people never even mention the word plan where they know how to. They go. Even the top producers tend to default to, this is the name of the company, and here's the resume of the company, and here's my resume. That's what they're doing, because they're making it about them. What Dean's saying is, he's saying, give you new language. This is a seller plan. Whether you use us or not, this is a seller plan. Like, you need a plan. You need a plan. You can't just go on the market again. You need a plan. So I'm going to give you a copy of that. Follow?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want.
Call it a seller plan,
yes,
or a home seller
well,
plan?
whatever you want, whatever feels comfortable. It's a home seller plan. It takes you A through Z, all the steps. Listing is part of the process, right? Preparation is everything. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I have to go on to the next one, but I'm glad we stumbled on that. You can give me another one, but I want you to practice that this week. You need to tighten that up. Okay. You need to be emotionally attached. You're very good at conversation. But ironically, I have to edit you down into staying small there. Don't go off on a tangent. This is not about a connection. Our methodology here is to serve, and that only allows us to be very small. It's like an actor on TV. They get very small, so they draw you in. Think small. It's okay to personalize. I dropped my kayak there. I know exactly where you are. Boom, much smaller. Much smaller. You're dominating that, and she gives you a what? She gets lost because she wants to talk about her. And you actually are good enough to get her to talk about her. Okay? Make sense?
We actually did get that appointment.
Yeah.
Brad was able to meet with her, so.
Of course. That's a layup. I would expect you to get those all day long. 100%. Right? Yeah. But again, don't give yourself that validation. But we got it. That's not what I'm interested in. I know that. I expect you to be wildly successful. What I want to do is tighten you up so that when it's tougher, you have these little anecdotes so that you even get the tough ones. She's actually easy for someone like you.
Right.
Combination of you in this system, that's a layup for you, that lady. Okay. So, but I want you to tighten it up against that backdrop for the tougher ones so you don't get flabbergasted and flustered. She was tolerant of you and your story. Not everybody will be. And if we get up into luxury and we have some no-nonsense person, we're talking about $1 million property, I want you to be ready for that guy. Make sense?
Yes, that makes very good sense.
Good.
Thank you.
Perfect. Bravo, though. You know I'm a huge fan of yours. So this is all just look at different cause and effect. Like, that's your effect was an appointment. But I want you to look at the next cause. If I could cause myself to be more authoritative, if I could cause myself to be more, connected to the offer, what would the effect be on the tough ones? See where I'm going? Let's get out of success and up to that next level of seeing it and refining it. Bravo, though. Good one. We stumbled upon a good one. All right, Sam, you gave me one and you're going to close the show. Sorry, Amanda, I just ran out of time today. I can't get to it, but I've got to go to Sam. You're going to give me one here.
Yeah, just one. Then do the one that has 757-418-2596.
Okay, I can't tell which one that is. In the email you sent me, I got 5 of them. Which one? Do you know?
The one that has those numbers.
I know. I can't see it. At the bottom, there's an attachment. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Do you know?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Sorry, we went a little OT today, but we got ourselves set up to talk about outside sales too, which is good. Amanda, you and I, just so you know, are going to spend a little private time together anyway. So I'm going to deal with you next week. Okay? you come to Gail's call with me. All right, here we go.
This is Michael.
Hello. Hi there, Michael.
Hello?
Wow, what happens there? That's really not good. He says hello, and there's a huge gap. What's happening there?
I have no idea. I think it's together or something.
Oh, wow, that's ugly. We got to try to fix
Yeah,
that.
it's bad.
Yeah, if that's a technology issue, that's ugly. Listen to this. Listen how long it is. I'm going to count it out with my fingers on the screen.
This is Michael.
Hello. Hi there, Michael.
Hello?
This is Sam.
I almost
I'm
get
calling from-
to a full 6 seconds. That's a huge issue if that's a tech problem.
Yeah.
Okay? So you and Paul want to dig into that. All right, here we go.
From Cantu Group Real Estate. I'm calling because
Oh, it froze. Hang on. Let me go back to it. That's my.
This is Michael.
hello. Hi there, Michael.
Hello?
This is Sam. I'm calling from Cantu Group Real Estate. I'm calling because we saw your beautiful home online.
What's that
and we noticed
talking?
it didn't
Is
sell.
that somebody else in
So
the
we wanted to
background?
mail you something
Of
that will
your
help you
phone
sell
or
it the next
his?
time. May I do that?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. May I confirm the best
Thanks.
mailing address I have here? 4020 14th Avenue South.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome. It looks like a great property. Why were you trying to sell it?
Possibly relocating, but I'm not sure, which is kind of why I pulled it. So I was interviewing for a job, and that fell through, but I have another interview this week. So
Oh,
life's a big question mark. Yeah.
yes, I completely understand. Yeah, I'm the same way. It happens. But, okay, well, if you do have, if there's a possibility to you selling, then we'll just mail that over. I'll give you a call in a week and make sure that you got it. Do you have a time frame as in when you'd like have a yes or no to relocating?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
Call him next
that's
week.
fine. All right. Well, perfect, Mr. Murphy. I'll send that over and I'll give you a call in a week.
Good.
Okay. Thanks.
Super. Fine. I think it's fine. I don't like that technology, thing, but yeah, well, Sam, look at you. You proved the point that from time to time, we have to do this in smaller steps, right? That sometimes all we can do is get him to be confirmed that this is it. Get him to get the information, which is very valuable to him. He sounds smart. He's going to get it. He's going to see it's not like what anybody else is giving him. He's going to look at it. You're going to call and follow up, and that might change the way he talks to you next time. If you haven't already called him, I want you to bring me the recording the next time we meet of the call back to him.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I want you to see the evolution of that second step, right? How does it happen? And you could go back and saying, hey, look, I don't know what happened when it was on the market the first time. I know you pulled it because of what happened. But did you think things were going well? Because if not, just in case you get a job quickly, I'd love to send Paul over so he can give you his insights as to the process. So if it is go time quickly, you know what I mean? You follow?
So I need to find out why he pulled it off.
No, you know why.
Yeah, he pulled it off because of the job, right?
I understand, but
He doesn't know if he's gonna get it or not.
but are you curious? Did he just pull it off because of the job, or did the realtor stink?
Okay.
You don't know that, do you?
All right.
You don't know that, do
No.
you? Don't know, right?
No.
Okay. So you have to discover, is there a chance for Paul to go in and give some insight in case the job comes through? Got it?
And if it doesn't come through, I just say I'll follow up with you in a month.
No, you find out, you keep chipping away at, are you going to keep going for a job until it happens? Because I'd like to get you on long-term follow-up, meaning you should be getting the properties that sold around you. You stick to the plan. It's the same plan. If you decide he's going to move inside the next 12 months, plan. He needs sold properties in his email, plan. He needs an update once a month, plan. He needs Paul in the house when he gets closer to moving, plan. You're asking me questions that are already all planned out for you.
Okay.
And it's up to your discretion. If he doesn't have a real reason inside of 12 months, boom. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, good. Good
Okay.
job. All right, that's you welcome. That's going to conclude the call. Thanks so much. Real good call here. Appreciate everybody's participation, and I'll see you on the other side. Practice this stuff. Bring me anecdotes. It makes for a much better call. And keep our good friend Gail Rossetti in your prayers. All right. See everybody on the other side. Thanks.
Bye bye.